For our FinTech Spotlight segment this month, we are featuring our sponsor, Starship HSA, a company on a mission to help people take control of their financial wellness by redefining the health savings industry. I've invited Starship HSA's VP of Marketing, Shandon Fowler, to tell us more about this modern HSA solution and how it allows us to save and invest for our future healthcare costs. Welcome to the show, Shandon.
Thanks for having me, Andy. It's great to be here.
So how does Starship differentiate themselves from the other HSA providers out there? There's a lot of them. How are you guys different?
Our entire DNA has been to build an HSA for the individual. Our founder, one of our three co-founders, Sean King, he's our CEO. He sort of calls himself a tax and investment hacker. And so when he had his first high deductible health plan, he saw the value of this thing, or the potential value of this thing, but he wasn't seeing it in the HSA that was provided to him through the company coverage that he had. So he got into that. He dug into it. He found that they all have, hidden fees and different structures, and they're really focused on, getting employers to sign on so that they can get this fee structure going, this fee wheel, in the same way that some 401ks really live and die on the fees that they're able to charge. So, and then he had a personal event, a family event that was a medical emergency. So he got to see both sides of the value of it. And he said, there's got to be a better way. And so that's kind of how our company was founded. And we're always focused on the individuals. We have, major partnerships with companies like Uber and, Postmates, which was just bought by Uber, Winolo, which is another, sort of gig economy company. That's really where our DNA lays, is to help individuals and to have something that has no hidden fees, has high interest rates, all of the things that are going to help you make the most of your money.
Well, that's great. Well, let's talk about the investing side of things. How does that work through Starship?
It's super easy. The ability to invest is built in right into our application. And you can set it up in a number of different ways. We have a robo advisor. So if you're used to things like, Betterment and, Robinhood and those kinds of things, it's the same basic idea. You go through, you ask a handful of questions, and you're provided with options based on sort of your profile and your risk tolerance and so on. And then in a few easy steps, you're set up and you're ready to invest. And you have the ability to make regular contributions into your investment account. You can do threshold investments. So let's say you want to keep an emergency fund on the savings side of your HSA, and then put every other dollar in excess of that into your investing account. You can do that. You can set up all sorts of, different things. We also have a number of awesome things on our roadmap, like, roundup investing and, all the other things that you've, come to expect. But the bottom line is that it's, we make it as easy as possible for people to invest through Starship.
Got it. And that usually can happen through another brokerage partner. Do you guys have a brokerage partner that you work with, or how does that all work?
We actually are setting up some of our own funds. So we're working with, a technology provider. We are going to be linking to some of the major brokerages down the line as well. But right now we're really about easing people into the process. And, we see a lot of first-time investors, and we want to make it as turnkey and easy for them to understand as possible. But we also have some people that have, thousands of dollars, that want to kind of get their money to go further as well.
Sure. And then the debit card system, that's a really great advantage when you're, as you mentioned, out and about and you're buying the things that you need to buy. Talk to us about how that debit card system works.
Yeah, it's a standard Visa debit card. The one difference with HSAs is that, it's not a cash account. You can't, go to an ATM and get cash out, but you can do it point of purchase. It's actually, I got one right here. It's actually, we think it's a really good looking card. It's contactless, which is not as common with the HSAs. You have all of the advantages of debit cards, with that one exception of not being able to take the cash out.
Excellent. So it's essentially your money goes into the savings account and then it comes out through the debit card. It makes a lot of sense. So lots of advantages with an HSA, lots of advantages working with Starship. What does this cost somebody? So I want to open an HSA. How much does that cost me?
It costs you $0. We don't have any account minimums. Like I said, we've built it ourselves from the ground up because we wanted to avoid a lot of those sort of fees that are attached to other accounts, sort of monthly maintenance fees and so on. Really, I think there are really only one or two fees at all with a Starship account. And that has to do with if you're making a foreign transaction or something like that. On the investment side, we do have a small sort of, fee structure set up, but, it ends up being pennies per month, pennies to dollars per month, depending on, how much you're investing. And then, of course, you do with any kind of investing, you do also want to look at the sort of, ETFs, the, exchange traded fund fees that might be there. But that's kind of standard for, all investments. And those are super low as well. Like I said, we really, really have, put ourselves on this track of letting people do the most with their money and letting them keep more of their money than typically they can.
Got it. Well, I mean, it sounds like the fees are nothing, and it doesn't cost me to do anything. How do you guys make money? It's always good to know, where the money's coming from if you're giving something for free.
Yeah, there is, there's sort of the standard things that we do, like, something sort of a banking term, but interchange. So, there's money in the account and, we make some money off of that. And there is a small percentage that we get for whenever you use your debit card at a retailer or a provider of some kind. Those are the primary ways that we make fees. A lot of HSA providers have built around this sort of large structure of maintenance fees, and we're steering clear of that as much as possible so that we can really focus on these different ways, like the interchange and interest, bank interest and so on, to make our money.
I think you guys have the consumer in mind, and that's great. I mean, you're thinking about a way where it's frictionless. It gives me lots of advantages, and I'm not paying anything, which is great for a consumer. One last question before we go: how did you guys get that awesome name, Starship?
That actually, it's we love the name, and it's funny because it's not what you might think it is. Sean, again, our CEO, big fan of Buckminster Fuller, who was, of course, the sort of futurist and architect, and he created this idea of spaceship Earth, basically, and so we didn't want to be too literal and call it spaceship, and it sounded a little sort of old fashioned too. So he liked this idea of starship and this idea that this is a grand experiment to sort of help us be more sustainable and more mindful of the community that we have here. So we love the name, yeah. But we don't really, you're not going to see us call ourselves cadets or anything like that. It's more of an architecture and community thing.
Well, I mean, it's a good conversation, and I like how you guys describe it, even with the name, is that, this is something we're all in together to help our country get to a better place and help everybody not only save and protect themselves for their healthcare costs, but plan for the future too. And so I love having this conversation. Shandon, thank you so much for being here. Where's the best place people can learn more about Starship and then consider signing up?
You can go right to starshiphsa.com and you'll see all the information that you need. There's a sign up button. You can learn how it works, and you can even reach out, through chat with our awesome support team.
Awesome. Shandon, thank you so much for your time today. Everybody, starshiphsa.com.
Thank you so much, Andy. It's been great talking to you.
Thank you.
You too.